The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, today on Aging Horizons we're going to be talking about the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day coming up June 15th. Really important topic, really important that we all understand and realize that there is elder abuse going on, and we need to step up and make sure that we're there as support for all those folks. We have great information, so stay with us.
I was diagnosed with diabetes in 1992 and I went into denial. It made me angry. I was a professional chef and I didn't want to change my eating style. It took me a long time to get serious about managing my health. My perspective changed from resentment to one of loving my body, the container for my spirit. Getting help from my diabetes educator supported my goals of improved self-care. I want to feel good and have a great life. My diabetes educator helps me do this.
Summer in Montana is a great time to visit your local farmers market. Enjoy the social atmosphere while shopping for a wide variety of fresh, locally grown produce. Together with both WIC and Senior Farmers Market nutrition programs, you help feed your family 5 or more daily servings of fruits and vegetables for better health. You also help local ag producers and enhance the state's economy. So, for summer fun that's nutritious and helps Montana's economy, shop at your local farmers market.
Is that Robert Knievel? Captain Lewis, Captain Clark, I'm officially Evel Knievel now. I'm getting my Montana Real ID.
Did you make an appointment at mtrealid.gov?
Yes, sir.
Smile.
About my non-laminated Social Security card, 2 documents proving my current residential address, and my certified birth certificate.
Approved.
Go to mtrealid.gov.
Now I can fly. It's that easy.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimi Everman, and as I said in the open, we're going to be talking about a kind of a pretty serious subject today, and that's the prevention of elder abuse and making it a big outreach and awareness that everybody knows about so that we can support our elders and make sure that if they are being exploited or manipulated, that we're there to help. We have a couple of great guests with us today. First of all, Trevor Tanyan. And Trevor, you're the Adult Protective Services Bureau Chief.
Thank you for
having me. We've had you before, so welcome back.
Thank you.
And then we also have Mike Fanning. And Mike, you're an elder justice prosecutor, and before we came on I said, I like that title because it sounds like you're going to be right stepping up to the plate. Welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. Trevor, let's start with you. What we're talking about today is the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. That is June 15th each year. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why do we even need that is a big question for me.
Well, I think it's extremely important to raise awareness of elder abuse, and not only in this state, but in the nation, in the world, really. It happens more frequently than people think, and it's just great to raise awareness about it. It offers an opportunity for some training, some explanation, just folks give them more of an understanding of what's occurring in their own neighborhoods, communities.
So let's talk a little bit about what is elder abuse. What are we talking about when
elder
we
abuse
say that?
Is there's different terms for it: adult maltreatment, In Montana, it's the abuse, neglect, or exploitation of our vulnerable adults. Vulnerable adults in Montana, that criteria is once a person has reached the age of 60 and older, they're considered vulnerable adult. And it's the abuse, neglect, or exploitation of that population.
And it could be financial, it could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be a whole continuum, right?
Absolutely, including sexual abuse, domestic violence, you name it, across the board.
Yeah, if it's abuse, some evildoer will figure it out and bring it to the table. And then also in Montana, can you talk just a little bit, Trevor, about what numbers are we looking at here?
So it's fairly significant in Montana. It would be, most folks are pretty surprised the number of reports that we receive at APS. Just last year, we received 7,500 reports of abuse, neglect, and exploitation in Montana. Understanding that most of our reports have more than one allegation of abuse, being that abuse, neglect, or exploitation. So you may have a report of self-neglect, but also exploitation in one report. And so most of our reports, it averages out to be about 1.5 allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation per report. And so if you're looking at total number of allegations, we received somewhere around the neighborhood of 11,000 just last year.
That's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is.
And yet, it's so good to hear that people are reporting, which we always are hoping and encouraging that they will do. We've talked about reporting. What do we do if we need to report something, Trevor?
So we like to use the phrase, if you see something, say something.
Nice.
If you hear of something, if it's a rumor, it's best that we look into the matter and it's nothing. Instead of
way
the opposite.
better. Yeah.
So the best way to get a hold of APS if you suspect elder abuse or abuse of a vulnerable adult, because we also encompass the 18 to 59-year-olds who have a disability, so they can also be considered a vulnerable adult. So there's two ways to get a hold of us: our website, which
and we'll put that. Yep, we'll put it on
and
the
then our
screen.
toll-free number.
Yeah, and we'll put that up as well.
Perfect. And just something to keep in mind with the toll-free number: it is. There's a staff person to answer the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. If you get after hours, we will have to call you back next business day.
Sure. Because if there's something going on, it's 911 when they can't get you, right?
If it's an active emergency, absolutely. 911, fire, or medical, yes.
Okay. And we also want to, I always like to make sure folks understand that it is confidential.
Per
Right.
MCA, we are bound confidentiality. We cannot divulge who the reporter is.
Right.
So that is always confidential. So a lot of folks are hesitant to report because they think that information will be known,
Sure.
but it will not. It will not be divulged.
And another thing that I like to always point out, because, folks who are reporting, obviously they're taking that step, they want to help, but you might not be able to tell them everything that you have to do, right?
That's correct, and that can be a frustration with some folks. They want to know what's
they
happening
wanna
every
help.
step of the way, and again, our reports are confidential. We have to keep that. So just understand, when you report, you may not know what the outcome is, but we are looking into it.
Exactly.
We are doing something.
It doesn't mean that it's gone into a black hole somewhere.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely looking at it, but you cannot divulge, because everybody especially that person that's being hurt, possibly, may not want that all over the place.
We have to respect their privacy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
well, and to be able to reach out to them in a way that's confidential must be soothing for that person.
We hope so.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we're coming really quickly to the end of this segment. The great information, Trevor, and folks, again, we want to be aware that this is out there. We want to be supportive of our friends and our family and our neighbors, and step up to the plate if we think something's going on. So come on back, we have a lot more information.
With as many as 1 in 10 Americans at risk for Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia, chances are someone you know and love will receive that diagnosis. When that happens, you may well feel devastated, but know that you are not alone. Help is available. You don't have to face dementia by yourself. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
It's been 27 years. I never thought I'd still be smoking, but here I am, COPD and all. I'm about to have a granddaughter. There's so much to show her, but I'm scared I won't be able to keep up like I used to. I kind of gave up on myself on quitting. But it's different now. I want to be here for her and for my daughter.
When I stopped showing up, Jim showed up at my door. He took me to the hospital in town to get me help. That's the day Jim saved my life.
Everyone has a role to play in preventing suicide. Know the signs and don't be afraid to speak up. If someone you know is in crisis or emotional distress, the only wrong thing to say is nothing at all. Call 800-273-TALK or text MT to 741-741.
Every generation produces heroes, men and women who step forward to defend our country in time of need, no matter the personal cost to themselves. And though we can never fully repay them, we can make sure they have access to low-cost, long-term care when they need it. That's what Montana's Veterans Homes are all about. If you've got a hero in need in your family, call us. We can help.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking about elder abuse and the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. That's coming up, and we want to make sure that you know all about it. We have a couple of great guests with us today. Trevor Tangent, and you are the APS Bureau Chief, or Adult Protective Services.
Yes,
had you many times, and good to have you back.
Thank you.
And then we also have Mike Fanning, and Mike, you're the Elder Justice Prosecutor with DOJ.
Yes.
And you've pretty much just come on, but we're going to have you back many times. So
I hope to return.
Just get ready. Okay, so Trevor, let's first of all start with you and talk about, what are we doing in Montana right now about this?
Yes, I think that's absolutely important to talk about. So what are we doing? We obviously have an APS bureau in Montana, and we are charged with investigating all allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of our vulnerable adults. It's a mouthful.
Right.
So we have to get creative and innovative as well on different ways of combating elder abuse and seeing these cases through to prosecution, and sometimes, especially if there's a criminal element or even some civil components where we need some prosecution, so to speak. So
sure, yeah.
Through a grant, we have actually been able to partner with the Department of Justice in Montana and hire on an elder justice prosecutor, Mr. Mike Fanning.
Mr. Fanning.
And Mr. Mike Fanning can talk about his position and
sure.
how that's working.
Let's do that, Mike, because I'm excited about this. This is elder justice doesn't have enough juice yet, and now we're going to get some. But no pressure.
Actually, it is an exciting opportunity, and I'm really pleased that I'm the first person to be called Montana's Elder Justice Prosecutor. I think it's an awesome responsibility, and I hope to be able to live up to people's expectations. Mm-hmm. But I think what it shows is a commitment across government and across society to address a matter that has been neglected for far too long.
Absolutely.
And as big as the dimensions are, it's underreported, and the problem is even bigger than most people can comprehend.
Really?
So, fortunately, through the ARPA funds from the American Recovery Plan Act.
Okay, that's what ARPA is.
Yes.
Okay.
All the states were awarded grants for elder justice issues, and in Montana, the Department of Public Health and Human Services received monies that they shared through a memorandum of understanding with Department of Justice. And in the cooperation between DOJ and DPHHS, they created my position. And in time, we're going to have a dedicated elder justice investigator as well. And the reason why that's important is because some of these prosecutions and some of these investigations are so specialized that local agencies may not have the staffing and the expertise to process them the way they need to be processed. So I've spoken to county attorneys, and they're desperate for resources and assistance. They want that investigator to help their detectives. And while those people might be highly skilled and highly trained, do they really know the nuances of something like a power of attorney? What is a permissible power of attorney, and when are its terms exceeded? And so those kind of specialized issues will be placed with our investigator and with my office, and hopefully we'll be able to assist those local county attorneys and those sheriff's departments and police departments across the state so we can more effectively prosecute those perpetrators.
Right. And you know, Mike, I'm glad that you mentioned power of attorney, because that seems to be one of the documents that we see most misunderstood maybe by, I mean, I don't want to throw shade on people that are that are using, expanding too much on that, but I think there's so many folks out there that think, oh, well, I can just take care of everything now because I have power of attorney over you, and it's really not that way.
I haven't been on the job that long, but in this short time, I have seen such misuse, such exploitation, all under the guise of this authority. A person who has a financial power of attorney must use their utmost to protect the interest of that individual. It isn't authority to seize somebody's money and to make it your own. But we see that over and over.
Or to seize that person's life, if you will. That that you're making decisions for someone that you have no right to make.
That's very true. But again, in this short time, repeatedly you see the same patterns that are much the same as what you might see in domestic violence, where an individual commands every aspect of a person's life, and that begins with financial control, and then it turns to isolation and limiting communication by that person and their former associates, their family, their friends. And in those methods, they can take command of everything and do
whatever
unthinkable harm.
Yes, exactly. Well, great discussion. We just have a couple of seconds left here on our second segment. But folks, again, this is about informing yourself, your neighbors, your friends, your family of what is going on out there in terms of exploitation and abuse of older adults. And the power of attorney is just one tiny cog in that wheel. We have a whole lot more to talk about. Please don't go anywhere.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Receiving help for Ella has been life-changing, and the best word for it is relief. I was the therapist, I was the aide, and I couldn't be the mom because emotionally you're just to your wits' end. You're trying to survive.
I provide care for the Harrises, specifically their daughter Ella. Respite care is extremely challenging, but the rewards that you receive from it are 100 times more than working with a child that doesn't have special needs. Once they get something, it's everything. It's a you celebrate. You don't just enjoy those moments. You celebrate every moment that you get, that you guided them to that next step.
Respite. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. Will you provide it? Call 800-224-6034 or visit respite.mt.gov.
It went from survival to enjoying life and being able to be a mom again.
Brought to you by the Montana Broadcasters and this station.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about World Elder Abuse Awareness Day today. We have a couple of wonderful guests, very knowledgeable. First of all, we have Trevor Tangent, and Trevor, you're the Bureau Chief at Adult Protective Services for the Office on Aging. And we also have Mike Fanning, and Mike, you're the you pretty new Elder Justice Prosecutor,
yes.
And I feel honored to have you at one of your first outreaches. And with that, maybe you could talk a little bit about what your duties are. What tasks are you trying to, what are your goals?
Sure. My tasks are defined by the Memorandum of Understanding between Justice and Adult Protective Services. And I am supposed to train investigators, train prosecutors, work on outreach issues and public education, events such as this, and I'm supposed to work with the Elder Justice Councils. And that's an exciting opportunity because there has been, for a couple of years, an Eastern Montana Elder Justice Council that was created by executive order some time ago. Right. Last November, Governor Gianforte expanded that pilot project from just the Eastern Montana group to statewide. So now there are there will be four regional Elder Justice Councils: the East, North Central, South Central, and the West.
Oh, super.
And they will be multidisciplinary teams that are composed of people who are familiar with elder justice issues or issues pertaining to vulnerable adults. It could be physicians, it could be insurance salespeople, it could be bankers, it could be lawyers, prosecutors, anybody who has an interest and expertise in that area. And to fill those positions, we would like to see people apply for appointment through Governor Gianforte's office, but they will provide a lot of valuable push in the policy issues that we're looking at, legislative issues, and just general progress in the whole elder abuse arena.
Right. I think it's particularly wonderful news that those councils are being expanded or replicated, because I think, you don't solve the problems of the world, but it's very important to come together and talk about things.
And it is, and you need that cohesion. But one of the things that I think is a great design is they are locally centered. And that started with the Billings Group in the Eastern Montana Council. And I think it's important that it be focused on local issues, local concerns, local talent.
Right.
We don't want a Helena-centric program trying to drive the state.
Yep.
We want people to raise themselves up county by county, region by region, and their participation is vital.
Right. Well, I'm thrilled to hear it, and having participated with the eastern side of the state, that council, have enjoyed it so much, and I'm really glad to hear that we're having some more that are forming. Hey, Trevor, before I forget, what's the purple thing? Because you're always wearing purple.
So purple, and we ask everybody to join us on June 15th for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. It's the color of significance. So purple is the color, and so consider wearing purple. And
Yeah.
I imagine if enough people are wearing it, it's going to start raising some eyebrows. What is this? Which is helpful in turn. So then they can explain it. Well, I'm wearing it for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day.
It opens up that conversation.
Absolutely.
Anything in regards to great events that we should know about, or anything with the Awareness Day coming up?
So we're still working on our event on June 15th with partners with Bank of the Rockies and Stockman Bank, and so more information to come on that. But we're hoping to put something together, and again, more of an outreach and educational type setting, and put some information out.
Well, that sounds great, and this is for everybody, right? This isn't just for healthcare professionals, or this day. I mean, this is a day where we should all give a thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
Correct?
We have to honor our elder populations. They have been around a long time, and they have. They're just valuable to our population, and we have to raise awareness around the abuse of our elderly folks. Yes.
Right. And before we go, let's just one more time talk about, if we're looking, to report some elder abuse, what does that look like? What's happening if we see that?
So there could be a number of things. If you notice, really the easiest thing is if you know somebody and they seem off, they are just not themselves, they could be withdrawn, you may see signs of injury, malnourishment, dirty clothes, that sort of thing.
Sure.
It should lead you to question, is there some caregiving issues? Is there self-neglect? Are they being abused? Are they being exploited? Anything that makes the alarms go off for you, and you just don't feel right about it, that's something. And so it's something that needs to be looked into.
And as you said earlier on, way better to be wrong and nothing is going on at all than to just let it go and not reach out on behalf of that person.
The worst thing, they received a friendly visit from APS, and if it's nothing, then they got to have a friendly visitor for the day. Yes.
And we want to remember also, confidential, on all the way around, from the caller to the possible victim. There's confidentiality, so you don't have to worry that it's going to be at the cafe tomorrow when you walk in. Well, you guys, it's been just great having you. I'm so glad that you are on the job. And folks, remember that World Awareness Day, very important. Think about it and make sure that you're stepping up to the plate. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman. Thanks for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.